Kababayan Today with our attorney who fights for the rights of employees and consumers, si Attorney Joe Sayas. Hello, Attorney. Thank you for being on Kababayan Today.
Thank you for having me here, Jay.
All right, so pag-usapan natin, there are two general types of workers. One is called an employee,
Right.
and another worker, they're called independent contractors.
Right.
Bakit po mahalagang malaman ng pagkakaiba ng employee rather at ang independent contractor? Does one worker get more pay compared to the other?
Importanteng malaman ng ating mga kababayan ang difference ng employee at independent contractor. Employees are better protected under the law, and employees generally tend to receive more.
So mas malaki ang
compensation.
bayad.
That's correct, because of the protections guaranteed by law to employees.
I see. Okay, so attorney, how will our kababayans know if they are classified as an employee, which we call EE, diba? Employees, or one that is classified as an independent contractor? Paano po namin malalaman yon?
Madaling malaman yan. They can easily check the pay stubs. Pay stubs of employees have the pay less withholding taxes and social security contributions. Ang mga independent contractor naman, every payday, they get the whole compensation without withholdings for taxes.
Okay.
So they receive some kind of what they call 1099 income.
Okay, so kailangan tingnan nila yung pay stub nila para malaman nila yan, ano?
That's correct.
Okay, so why is it important to know the difference between the two?
Employees, they have a right to be paid overtime when they work beyond 8 hours a day. They are entitled to be protected against unlawful discrimination and harassment. And certain deductions are not allowed. In other words, employees are not supposed to spend for their uniforms. In some cases, for instance, drivers, they're not required to pay for fuel costs and insurance. Pero nangyayari.
Nangyayari po.
Ng mga independent contractors na kinaklasify ng ibang mga employers, they are asking or they have required independent contractors who are actually employees to pay for those costs. Ang nangyayari, nababawasan ang kinikita ng ating mga workers.
I see. So, do workers who have lost their misclassifications as ICs, not as EEs, paki-explain naman po yun.
Okay. The employees are always controlled by the employer. If you see employers saying, you should do this, you should do that, employers require when the work is going to be performed, how the work is going to be performed. In other words, malakas ang control sa ginagawa ng mga workers. In that case, ang mga manggagawa natin should be classified as employees.
At hindi independent contractor.
At hindi independent contractors. Mahalaga pa, Jay, na itong mga manggagawa natin are given workers' compensation benefits. So, kung may mangyaring aksidente sa trabaho,
covered sila.
Ang mga empleyado may proteksyon ng workers' comp.
Well, sino naman po ang vulnerable sa misclassification? Alam ko sinabi niyo po yung independent contractor, no?
Yes.
But out of both of them, is it it's the independent contractor or because paano po kung classified kayo ng independent contractor pero talagang employee naman pala kayo?
Yes, lots of employees, lots of workers have been vulnerable to this misclassification done by employers. Alam mo, ginagawa ng mga employers na iba yan to save on paying additional taxes or social security contributions.
To the detriment of the worker.
That's correct. Nababawasan ang kanilang karapatan.
So how can I tell if I am misclassified as an independent contractor na dapat employee pala ako?
Minsan may mga technical requirements, but it's all on the issue of control. Minsan nga, the NBC, for instance, the station basically reported on Federal Express. Minsan yung dumarating na tao, na driver ng Federal Express who's wearing a Federal Express uniform, they're not employees. They're not classified as employees.
Independent contractor lang.
Yes, and for which case, some deductions are being made on their compensation.
So what can I do or should I do, attorney, if I feel that or the viewer feels that they are misclassified?
They can always consult an experienced employment attorney. at no cost. For instance, ang inquiry sa aming law office, they're free and they're held as confidential.
Okay. Can you tell me of an example of a case that you handled that's similar to this?
Yes, I'm sure narinig mo yung mga reports about truck drivers in the ports. Long Beach Port, LA ports, and
malaking
Oakland.
issue po yun.
Yes, malaking issue. Yung mga truck drivers who drive employers' trucks from the ship going to the warehouse, classify na independent contractors.
Pero employees sila.
Dapat employees sila. Pinaglaban natin yon for 3 years.
Oo, 3 years. At
Yes.
balita ko, malaki pong cash compensation ang nakuha nila because of the lost wages that they were not being paid in the amount of over $14 million. I mean, this is a lot of money, no?
Yes, exactly. The employers agreed to settle by creating a common settlement fund for more than $11 million
Okay.
for the drivers.
So, should people feel that they fall under this category but they don't have the money for an attorney, how can you help them?
It's not a problem if they don't have the money because our law firm helps them without asking for any advance payment.
So, ibig sabihin kung wala kayong makuhang pera sa kaso, wala rin kayong bayad?
That's correct. We only get paid if we win the case.
Wow.
We recover.
High five to that. Thank you, Attorney Joe, for your very
Right.
informative advice.
Yes.
Nako, pagbalik nyo po next month, ang pag-uusapan naman natin ay ang importansya ng meal and rest breaks sa trabaho and how your employer will owe you back pay if you're not provided these essential breaks. Pagbalik natin sa Kababayan Today, kilalanin natin ang mga letratista or photographers who are raising funds through their work when we return. Maraming salamat po.
This segment is brought to you by the Law Offices of Joe Sias Jr., lawyers helping employees and consumers.